actually doing something a little bit different today. It's been a while since I read Emerson's work, let alone did any kind of studying on Mr. Emerson. But from what I can recall, in my college years, I had done an essay comparing his sayings to the sayings of Jesus Christ. And there were a lot of parallels. But I think that Ralph was right when he said that Jesus was a man rather than a God. I believe he did have the ability from God to enact miracles, but he was not God. I'm going to get flames for that, I know. And my dad believes the same thing. So, we haven't been excommunicated yet, which is a good thing, and I think it's very reassuring to know that people will still love me even though I have different ideas about my belief and my faith. And I do think that Emerson was a prophet. I think that a lot of what he said reflects on today's society, and had it not been for him, we would not have the whole New Age movement, transcendentalism, which is basically the meaning of that is looking beyond what one sees. It's more about possibilities, I believe, and when you get into metaphysics, that's definitely a remnant of transcendentalism. And to be honest with you, I'm very grateful that Mr. Emerson was so brave in being a trailblazer for this movement. It is not dead. It is still going strong. A lot of self-help books can be attributed to Mr. Emerson. I believe that he was a very erudite man. He had a lot of insight on different ways of perceiving life, and I think his most influential work was Self-Reliance. Although I have to disagree, I don't think a man is an island. I believe that men have to work together in order for society to actually be a society. But I do think that there are certain times where man has to be reliant upon himself, because sometimes there are those whom you just cannot trust, and you have to be discerning of who these people are. And if you have a feeling, and you probably have heard this from others, especially police officers, if you have a bad feeling about somebody, if your gut is tying up in knots around a person, that's your subconscious and your instinct saying, stay away. This person cannot be trusted. He or she may be dangerous and could possibly hurt you. So that's something that you can tune into, and it's an attribute that I think we are getting more of in this day and age, and it's actually more accepted, and people are being told to listen to it rather than ignore it, because I know it's vestigial, but we had it there from the moment that we actually understood what was going on in our brains, and how we saw the world, and it was part of evolution and survival in the world that we were pioneering. I do think that Emerson had a lot to add to society, and his opinions and his uh, ideas. I really think that he shaped a new way of perceiving, and I always like people who think outside the box. I really do think that he and Thoreau did a lot of this, and had it not been for Thoreau and Emerson, I don't think that there would be a New Age movement. I just don't think it would exist, and there would be no spirituality section in your local borders. People just wouldn't think about it. They think, oh no, no, that's just all airy fairy stuff. It doesn't exist. Aha! I don't believe that is so. Even though you can't see it, even though you can't quantify it, even though you can't measure it or prove empirically, this exists. And just the metaphysics field, I am overjoyed to say is very, very popular. It's gaining in notoriety because there is a lot to be said from metaphysics itself. A lot of it goes over my head, honestly. It's very heady science mixed in with religion. It's challenging. It takes a while to grasp onto it. I took a class about transcendentalism with one other student from Cyprus. And needless to say, that was interesting. I read Whitman's Leaves of Grass, and I read Thoreau, and I read Emerson, and it was not light reading, needless to say. It was all very Latinate. Some of it was difficult to grasp. A lot of it was pedantic in nature, but I really like Emerson. I just think that he has good ideas and good insight, and a lot of what he said I believe was prophetic, and you can see it happening in this day and age. And I also think that, and I probably have said this before, but I believe that the veil between what we know in the physical realm and that of the spiritual realm is becoming thinner and thinner. And there have been a lot of things that have happened to me that I think are undeniable proof of that. And of course, somebody else might think, oh, she's insane, she's psycho, she doesn't know what she's talking about. I've seen some things that I cannot possibly quantify, let alone document as normal. So I don't doubt that we're going into a brave new era, and Emerson, I think, was the pioneer. And if you're willing to challenge your mind and open, just keep your mind open when you read him. Some of the things he says are a little bit controversial. I think that I actually agree with him. I see a lot of his points about Jesus Christ were actually true, and he probably would have been executed back in the Middle Ages or the Dark Ages. Or the worst that they could do with him is exile him. But I'm glad to say that we don't live in those times any longer. And that's about all I have to add. I'm going to be adding more to Mindpetals' panel with books that I have read and that have changed my life. I'm going to be doing a review on Dr. Pausch's last lecture sometime, maybe this Sunday. I'll talk about that, and I'll give you my opinions on it. But that's basically all I have to add about Emerson, and I really do think that he was a modern day prophet. and I just think that he was an incredible, terrific man, just full of fountain of knowledge, and very challenging to read, and well worth your time if you have a chance to read him. He might come off as pedantic to a lot of readers, but he's definitely worth a read, because he's just he is outstanding. He is an extraordinary person with just marvelous ideas, I think. So don't be afraid to think outside the box.